it was fascinating to me when I saw that article today. The reason why he had me at hello there is Rodgers spoke to Schneider. So, and seemed very forthcoming. And it just looked like I can't understand a lack of communication when everything's on the line. And it seemed like Rodgers wanted out, even though he said he was open to returning. It seemed like Rodgers wanted out, and it seemed like they wanted Rodgers out. I told you one of the top rumors at the Combine this year was, in fact, the Packers sure hope that Rodgers will tell them, I don't want to come back, because they don't want to own it with their fan base, that they're like, we're the ones creating this divorce. We're done. Rodgers, we're going to trade you. And Gutekunst, I have to be honest with you, getting a 1 and a 2 for Davante Adams and getting a 1 and a 2 for Rodgers, because next year's draft choice that Gutekunst is going to take from the Jets will be a 1, because Rodgers will play the requisite number of snaps, unless, of course, something else snaps, heaven forbid. But that's that's a nice haul for those two guys who he clearly, in Adams, was late in paying him. That's part of this conversation in The Athletic today. Part of the article is that Rodgers thought that when they slow played Adams on his contract, Davante was done with him and didn't want to come back. And Rodgers was a little bit surprised that he didn't return, but that was Rodgers's opinion of what happened with Adams. And then what happened with him, the thing that just I don't get. I mean, first of all, Rodgers saying, talk to my agent, when the author brought up to Rodgers that he has on good knowledge in his reporting that Rodgers demanded Gutekunst be fired or he be traded at the top of the 2021 season, or the outset of the 2021 calendar year. And he said, talk to David Dunn, who, interestingly enough, unavailable for comment.
Hey.
So they kind of memory hold that. So I can't wait to talk to Matt in hour number 3. Well, and then that part about did they try to FaceTime him? So Rodgers was talking about this actual year, right? What happened this actual year between them? And what Rodgers was talking about is how he never heard from Gutekunst other than a couple of texts when they were going back and forth, that Gutekunst was going to reach out to Rodgers, who lives out here in Southern California, for much of the offseason, or at least the winter months in February and March, or February and January and February, when he's not actually playing in the playoffs, as he did not this year. And that Rodgers and Gutekunst didn't hook up when Gutekunst was out here for the NFL Players Association version of a prospect bowl, whatever they're doing with the East-West Shrine and the Senior Bowl. The NFLPA has their own bowl game with prospects. That Gutekunst and him just didn't hook up. They didn't have like a date set. They didn't have a time set. And if I'm the general manager of the Packers, I'm making sure, like, okay, Aaron, are you free Friday at 10 a.m.? Are you free Thursday at 3 p.m.? You want to meet? I'll come to your house. But it's just like, yeah, hit me up when you're out here. Okay.
Right.
And I'm like, really? And Rodgers, I think, I take it to mean that Rodgers didn't want to see him. Otherwise, he'd be like, pushing for it. Or he'd be like, screw it, I'm in year 19. You're the one who should reach out to me. That's the way I would feel, by the way. You reach out to me. You want me to play? You don't want me to retire? You come see me. You set the time. And Gutekunst never did. And I think Gutekunst saying, as he tried to reach out to Rodgers multiple times and never connected with him, that Rodgers rightfully said, in this article, just tell the truth. You don't want me to play for you. And that is the truth. I don't think they wanted him anymore.
Not for $60 million.
I don't think they wanted him anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even think it was the cost. It's that they got Jordan Love. They got to see what they got in him, number one. Number two, Rodgers aged out of the locker room. They had all those young fellow youths in there. You know, and I'm not saying he's one of the young bucks of the Jets, but he's got his guy in Lazard, but he also has young guys around him. But I think he's the new guy in the locker room viewed as the GOAT and come on in and help us go win a championship. I think it's better than just like, let's see if I can run it back one more time for an organization that I don't feel respects me. It's just a lot of I think it's Spider-Man, that Spider-Man gif, speaking of Spideyverse, of them just pointing each other. It was you. And now they're in separate places. Gutekunst's got quite a nice haul. And Rodgers, I think, has a better team. And in his mind, according to The Athletic, a better spot for him to feel respected. But I just don't get the whole, yeah, I mean, you were out here and you didn't reach out to me. And how does Gutekunst go out to Southern California and not say, hey, Aaron, are you free at this time?
Town. Lunch?
If the head of NFL Network flew all the way out to Los Angeles for an event and my contract was up or my status was up in the air and they didn't reach out to me and they're like texting me like, hey, are you free in the next couple hours? You around? Because I'm around before I have to watch something at the NFLPA Bowl. I'd be like, what the hell? I'm going into the darkness. But, me reaching back out like, hey, if you really want to reach me, you got to know to FaceTime me. I just think Rodgers wanted out. He clearly doesn't like these people anymore or as much. Doesn't feel respected. And they wanted him out too. That's what I heard at the Combine. If only the Jets played the Packers this year, but they do not. One thing that I know is going to be different is Rodgers with the Jets. The bar is set. Just don't do anything stupid off the field. Make the playoffs. Because the previous guy didn't. That came from Green Bay. And, oh, yeah, don't use the Jets as a transfer portal to the Minnesota Vikings. And I think Rodgers is going to clear all those low bars. I really do. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.